Veteran wide receiver Scotty Miller entered Pittsburgh Steelers training camp this summer seemingly on the roster bubble. But after a strong camp and preseason, Miller made the team's first 53-man roster Tuesday. Yet, expectations remain lukewarm, at best, around the veteran. But that's not anything he isn't used to. At this point in his career, Miller embraces the underdog role and is ready to prove doubters wrong again with his Steelers this fall. "That's just who I've always been," Miller said about being under the radar via Steelers Now's Chris Ward. "Nothing's ever been easy for me, so I just go out there and compete to the best of my ability every day." Last season, which was his first with the Steelers, Miller played just 210 offensive snaps. He caught 5 passes for 69 yards in 13 games. But he appears ready to contribute more to the Steelers' offense this season. It's just not taking anything for granted. Understanding the situation and being realistic about everything, and just going out there with a chip on my shoulder every day, trying to prove myself right. "I've always believed in myself over anybody." Scotty Miller made Steelers' 53-man roster. There's no arguing that the Steelers don't have the most impressive receiver room to begin the 2025 season. That helped Miller's efforts to make the team out of the preseason. But while the Steelers only have one star receiver, they did have some quality depth wideouts in training camp. That made Miller far from a guarantee to make Pittsburgh's roster. Miller earned a spot, though, while other veterans, such as Robert Woods, who's experienced a more productive career, didn't. Miller will begin the season as a second-team receiver on Pittsburgh's roster, which features 5 wideouts. DK Metcalf, who the Steelers acquired in an off-season trade, is the leader of the group. Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, and Ben Skowronek are the other 3 wideouts currently on the roster. Austin and Wilson are receivers still on rookie contracts that the Steelers hope develop into potential stars. Skowronek provides quality depth, but mostly contributes on special teams. Other than Metcalf, Miller is the only receiver with experience and the potential to contribute offensively. Miller could pair well with quarterback Aaron Rodgers, especially if the veteran signal caller wants to get rid of the ball quickly. While Miller is one of the fastest players on the Steelers, making him a deep threat, his route-running ability could turn him into a security blanket of sorts for Rodgers. Miller's best NFL season came with Tom Brady as his quarterback with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In 2020, Miller posted 33 catches for 501 yards and 3 touchdowns. Steelers have trust in Miller, WR Core. There have been some mixed reports in recent weeks about whether the Steelers could still acquire a bigger-named receiver before the season to pair with Metcalf. But on Wednesday, Steelers insider Mark Kaboly shut down the idea of Pittsburgh adding another wideout over the next week. As of right now, the Steelers are not pursuing any wide receiver in free agency or a trade, Kaboly wrote on X. They are content going into the season with Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson. As of right now, the Steelers are not pursuing any wide receiver in free agency or a trade. They wanted MVS on PS, but he chose to go on SFPS instead due to injuries to SF receiver room. They are content going into the season with Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson. And Miller, who could be a key part of the Steelers' offense showing more consistency than last season. The Las Vegas Raiders are not trading wide receiver Jakobi Meyers, General Manager John Spytek says. Spytek was asked about the signing of Amari Cooper and if it had anything to do with Meyers' trade request, but swiftly shut down the speculation. Meyers has been discussing a contract with the Raiders, but they have made next to no progress on that front. As a result, Meyers met with management and requested a trade to another team that would pay him. The Steelers could be that team, as they need a bigger body who can block, which is exactly what Meyers does. It may not look like that, but it was absolutely coincidence, Spytek said. We had been talking to Amari for a while, just making sure it was the right fit, and we could work the right contract out. He had 87 receptions for 1,027 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns in 15 games despite the quarterback chaos that occurred around him during 2024. That was a career season for Meyers, who has shown with the Raiders and New England Patriots during his career. Meyers is set to make a salary of $10.5 million this year, but would like to see that bumped up. The Steelers could try and make the move for Meyers, who would be the second wide receiver they have paid this offseason, along with DK Metcalf. The Steelers have looked for veteran wide receiver help across the market, though it is unknown just who they have targeted. Myers could be the biggest swing available. Before the 2025 NFL Draft, rumors had suggested that the Pittsburgh Steelers were interested in selecting SHEDEUR Sanders. Instead, the Steelers eventually took Will Howard and allowed Sanders to drop to the 5th round to the Cleveland Browns, their AFC North rival. Howard doesn't look to be a long-term option, and with an older Aaron Rodgers, it remains uncertain why the Steelers went that route. Despite the Steelers' decision, Jason Burgos of Sportsnaut proposed a trade idea to fix that mistake. He listed 4 teams that could pursue Sanders, including the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be looking for a new QB again next year. While they have league legend Aaron Rodgers in 2025, all indications are that he will be one and done after the season. They need to prepare for life after Rodgers. They were also linked to Sanders before April's draft. Getting him now for a fairly cheap rate to see what he's got, and if he can be developed into a long-term star is worth it for Pittsburgh, he wrote. Russell Wilson impact on Browns QB SHEDEUR Sanders. Many questioned why the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't draft Sanders. Even if they didn't love him, he was much better than Howard in college and could have been useful. At the very least, Sanders could have backed up Rodgers and learned from him. According to Albert Breer, however, there was a Russell Wilson twist in why the Steelers passed on Sanders. I think people there would tell you that the Russell Wilson thing undermines so many things in the last month of the season and that a lot of that building really wanted them to go back to Justin Fields, Breer said. And it was something where Tomlin was kind of, again, all on his own on that one. And I think it's part of the reason why Tomlin liked SHEDEUR going into the draft. But I don't think Tomlin wanted to press that button again at quarterback after what happened with Russell at the end of the year last year. So there's some dynamics there where it's like, there's some stuff that happened at the end of the year in games where it was just like, man, like if we were just average at that position or we were just running things the way they were supposed to be run, we might have been okay. Did Deion Sanders play a role in the Steelers passing on SHEDEUR? There's also another side of the story when it comes to Sanders, and that's with his father, Deion Sanders. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Ray Fittipaldo suggested that many didn't want to deal with Deion, adding that it could have been a reason the Steelers didn't draft him. Now, a lot of people just didn't want to deal with Deion Sanders and what that might be down the road after he's done at Colorado. So, I don't know if the Steelers felt that same way, but they did not have a top 5 grade. A top 5 round grade on SHEDEUR Sanders, and that's why they went the route they went, he said. Regardless of why, Sanders is with the Cleveland Browns and could play against the Steelers this season if things go well for him.